At the airport, Ben stood silently near the luggage, eyes trailing over the bustling crowd. He adjusted the handle of his suitcase, his gaze occasionally shifting toward the little group gathered near the departure gate. Sumi and Lucas stood beside him, each holding a sleepy child in their arms. Today was a special day. Jungkook and Wyan were heading off to Paris for their long-awaited honeymoon. Wyan gently took one of the babies in her arms, cuddling them close, her heart full. Wyan, I'm going to miss them so much, she whispered, pressing soft kisses to the chubby cheeks of her children. The twins reached for her face, bubbling sweet nothing, their tiny hands tugging gently at her scarf. Somi, they are going to miss you more, she said with a stitching smile, but looking at the way things are going, I don't think it will be too long before we hear some good news. Her voice rang with implication. Jungkook and Wyan immediately turned Kim Sun, exchanging a flustered glance. Lucas rolled his eyes playfully. Lucas, you don't have to comment on everything, so may you be quiet, she shot back, nudging him with her elbow. With a soft chuckle, Lucas took one of the twins, cuddling them close. Somi took the other, brushing back a stray curl from the child's forehead. The boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. Jungkook checked his watch. Jungkook, it's time. Ben rolled forward their luggage and handed it over to the airline staff, then turned back to the couple with a nod. Ben, everything's set. Wyatt gave the twins one final kiss, holding on to them for a second longer than necessary. Then, with teary eyes and a bittersweet smile, she passed them back to Sumi and Lucas. Jungkook, we will call every day, he assured. Sumi smiled. Sumi, you better. With one final wave, Jungkook and Wyan walked toward the boarding gate, their fingers intertwined, suitcase rolling quietly behind them, hearts full of excitement for the journey ahead. The airplane engines roared to the life in the distance, and as the couple disappeared into the gate, the others stood watching, love and laughter lingering in the air long after they were gone. Jungkook and Wyan finally arrived in Paris. The flight had been long, but the moment they stepped into their grand hotel suite, all fatigue vanished. The room was luxurious, dripping with elegance and charm. Wyan's eyes sparkled as she walked straight to the window. From there, the Eiffel Tower stood proud and glowing in the distance, framed perfectly by the golden sun. She gasped softly in awe. Wyan, this is magical, she whispered. Behind her, a pair of familiar arms wrapped around her waist. Wyan didn't even flinch. She knew exactly who it was. Jungkook rested his chin on her shoulder. Jungkook, do you like it? Wyan smiled, leaning into his warmth. Wyan, it's breathtaking. I love it. Jungkook began to place gentle kisses along her neck, his lips brushing softly against her skin. Wyan closed her eyes, savoring every touch, every moment. Jungkook, let's rest for a bit, he murmured. We will go exploring in the evening. A little while later, their room service arrived with a silver tray full of Parisian delicacies. They enjoyed the meal together, laughing between bites, sharing quiet moments of the contentment. After lunch, one stepped into the bathroom to freshen up. She slowly slipped into the warm bath, sinking into the soothing foam. The heat relaxed every muscle in her body. Eyes closed, she let out a soft sigh. Suddenly she felt a hand on her waist. Startled, her eyes flew open. Wyan, Jungkook, how did you get in? I locked the door. Jungkook grinned mischievously. Jungkook, nothing is impossible for me. Wyan stared at him, stunned, and then realization struck. She wasn't wearing anything. She scrambled the wrist of the foam to cover herself. Wyan, I'm bathing. You can't just. Jungkook, why so shy? He chuckled, already slipping into the tub with her. I'm your husband. Haven't I already seen it all? He pulled her close, his lips brushing her shoulder, then trailing upward toward her neck. Wyan's breath caught in her throat. Her heartbeat quickened as he caressed her arms, kissing her gently, deeply, like a man who had all the time in the world to love her. Hours later, Wyan slowly opened her eyes, the soft hum in the air conditioning in the background. Jungkook was adjusting his shirt, clearly getting ready. Her mind flickered back, the earlier bath, the intimacy, the tenderness. A blush warmed her cheeks. Realizing it was time to go out, she got dressed. Soon they stepped out into the golden hues of Paris. They took a romantic boat ride along the Seine River. The reflection of the sky in the water looked like a painting. Paris felt like a dream, quiet, majestic, timeless. As night fell, they walked hand in hand through the charming cobbled streets, illuminated the fairy lights and the soft buzz of Parisian life. Jungkook glanced at Wayne. Her eyes sparkled, lips curved in a soft smile, cheeks rosy from the praise. He could not look away. "Jungkook, you are beautiful," he whispered, his voice filled with reverence. Later, as they strolled back toward the hotel, Jungkook noticed Wayne growing tired. Without a word, he scooped her into his arms. She didn't protest. Instead, she rested her head on his shoulder and closed her eyes. When they returned to the hotel, Jungkook gently sat her down, helped her change into a comfortable night dress, and tucked her into bed. He kissed her forehead before pulling her into his arms. With the glow of the Eiffel Tower outside their windows and the warmth of love between them, they both drifted into a peaceful sleep. It was their final evening in Paris. The sky was beginning to blush with the soft rays of sunset. As Jungkook and Wayne strolled hand in hand through the charming streets, the wind was gentle, the city alive with a romantic glow. Jungkook was talking animatedly, sharing stories from his childhood, silly adventures, quiet dreams, forgotten corners of his youth. Wayne didn't say much. She simply watched him. There was something different in his eyes today, an innocent joy, almost childlike. His laughter came easily, his voice lighter, and Wayne murmurized, listened in silence, savoring every word, every expression that danced across his face. They eventually arrived at a shopping mall. Wayne was in her element, wandering from store to store, carefully picking out gifts for everyone back home. She chose adorable clothes and toys for the children, souvenirs for friends, and even a few matching items for her and Jungkook. As they passed by a boutique, Jungkook's eyes caught sight of something that made him stop. He tugged her hand and led her in. Wayne's cheeks turn came soon, the moment she saw the display. "Wayne, this place!" she gasped in disbelief. "Let's go right now." It was luxury lingerie boutique. Jungkook grinned mischievously. "Jungkook, come on, I want to see you in something like this." "Wayne, absolutely not," she protested, trying to pull away. "I will look terrible in them." Jungkook, "No, no," he said, already flipping through hangers. "You will look hot, irresistibly hot." Before she could stop him, he had picked a few seats and handed them to the clerk. Wayne looked like she might melt from embarrassment. Every time she tried to leave, Jungkook gently blocked her way with a teasing smile. Eventually, they left the store, Jungkook triumphant, Wayne flustered and silent. Later that evening, Jungkook brought her to a red rose-themed restaurant. The decor was delicate and enchanting, with elegant chandeliers casting soft golden lights across the tables. From their spot, the Eiffel Tower shimmered in full view. Soft violin music floated through the air, adding magic to the moment. One was awestruck. Everything about the evening, the view, the roses, the music, felt like something out of a dream. They ordered food, talked in whispers, shared bites, laughed softly, and just soaked in the beauty of the last night in Paris. When they returned to their suite, one paused at the threshold. The room had been transformed. Hundreds of red roses petals were scattered across the floor bed. Even the vanity candles glowed in soft corners. The air was thick with fragrance and feelings. It was all breathtakingly romantic. She could not speak. From behind her, Jungkook said gently, "Jungkook, the dress I bought you, wear it for me tonight." One blushed, her heart skipped. Without a word, she walked into the bathroom and changed. When she stepped out, Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. She stood in the softest, most elegant place, shy, graceful, and beautiful beyond words. Jungkook moved towards slowly, reverently. Wayne instinctively covered herself with her arms, but Jungkook reached for her hands and gently lowered them. "Jungkook, you look." His voice was husky, absolutely defiant. Then he kissed her, long, deep, full of love and longing. He lifted her and carried her to the bed, laying her down amidst the rose petals outside. The moonlight spilled into the room, casting silver over everything. In that moment, time stopped. They made love slowly, tenderly, two souls lost in each other beneath a Parisian moon. Heart intertwined, bodies wrapped in warmth and whispers. It was a night of love, of vulnerability, of passion, the kind of night that only belongs to two people deeply, madly, irreversibly in love. Jungkook and Wine had finally returned home. As soon as they stepped into the house, the children came running toward them with squalls of excitement. Their little feet pattered across the marble floor as they leaped into their parents' arms. Wine knelt down, wrapping them in a tight embrace, her eyes brimming with emotion. She opened her luggage and brought out the dresses she had carefully picked for them in Paris. One by one, she helped them put the clothes on, admiring how adorable they looked. The children thrilled and giggled, clearly delighted. Soon Sumi walked into the room, her eyes lighting up at the sight of her brother and sister-in-law. She took a seat beside them, smirking. "Sumi, well," she said playfully, "looks like your honeymoon went really well. The proof is written all over both of you." Jungkook and Wine exchanged confused glances, but it took only a moment for realization to dawn. Their necks, their collars, they all were covered in love bites, clearly visible. Instantly both of them flushed red with embarrassment. The thought that they had walked through the airport and in their home in this condition made Wine hide her face in Jungkook's shoulder. Sumi burst out laughing. "Sumi, by the looks of it," she teased, "we will be hearing some good news very soon." Jungkook groaned. "Jungkook, don't you have anything better to do than follow us around and make comments?" Sumi rolled her eyes. "Sumi, come on, this isn't new for you. You know exactly what I would say." He could not argue with that. They all laughed together, the room filled with warmth and mischief. For a while they sat and chatted, talking about Paris, the memories, the laughter, and all the little things that made the trip unforgettable. Home had never felt this full of love, full of life, and for Jungkook and Wine it was the perfect beginning to a new chapter. 3 years had passed. The house was brimming with excitement. A gentle chaos filled every corner, with people scurrying around, attending the last-minute decoration and party preparations. No one was idle. Each person was assigned a task and carried it out with delicacies and cares. After all, today wasn't just any day. It was the birthday of Jiho and Jang-woo, the twin stars of the household, and everyone wanted it to be perfect. Guests had already begun to arrive, laughter echoing through the curtains. Soon Jungkook and Wine entered, each carrying one of the twins. The children beamed with delight as they clapped and blew out the candles atop a cake almost bigger than them. They had turned two, but their mischief was already far ahead of their age. Raising them had been a handful, but Jungkook and Wine would not have it any other way. The celebration felt complete. Everyone was there. They had come with his wife and their 7 months old daughter. Jimin too had joined with his wife and baby. Even Ben and Lena, married, were laughing together in a rare moment of peace. Life had shifted, grown fuller, busier, but more beautiful. Meanwhile, Jungkook was strolling along the riverside looking for Jiho. When he finally found her, he froze in disbelief. There she was, his 2-year-old daughter, standing with Jimin's little boy, Junho. Junho was holding her hand, gently tucking a flower behind her ear. Jungkook stood up immediately, separated the two. "Jungkook, you don't need to be doing all this," he scolded softly, crouching down. "She is your sister." Junho frowned confused. "Junho, but she is my girlfriend. Why would she be my sister?" Jiho chimed in innocently. "Jiho, yes daddy, he proposed me. He is my boyfriend now." The way they said it, broken and mispronounced toddler English, would have been hilarious in any other moment, but Jungkook stood stunned, unsure whether to laugh or panic. "Jungkook, you can barely talk," he muttered, "and here you are proposing and making girlfriends." He took both of them by their hands and started pulling them back toward the others. The kids burst in tears at the separation. The commotion drew everyone's attention. Jimin hurried over. "Jimin, Jungkook, what's going on? Why are they crying?" "Jungkook, Ask your son, Jungkook replied, throwing him a look. Apparently, he is proposing to my daughter and calling her his girlfriend. There was a bit of silence and then laughter erupted. Everyone began teasing and chuckling, clearly entertained by the innocence of the scenes. Everyone that is expect Jungkook. Jungkook, this isn't funny, he said, crossing his arms. Jimin, oh come on, Jimin laughed. Who knew I would get my daughter-in-law so early? Jungkook, shut up, he muttered, seeing her husband getting flustered. Wyan gently approached and placed a calming hand on his arm. Wyan, they are just kids, she said softly. You are taking this way too seriously. Jungkook, I'm not amused, he muttered. Wyan, relax, she whispered, smiling. They're adorable. Eventually the laughter died down, and the party continued until another unexpected moment caused jaws to drop. He was sitting with his baby daughter in his arms when little Jung-woo wandered over. The moment he saw the baby, his eyes sparkled. He stared in fascination. They noticed and smiled. They, do you want to hold her? Jung-woo nodded eagerly. They gently placed the baby in his arms. The boy sat down and carefully held her, smiling proudly. Everyone watched the adorable scenes, and then Jung-woo leaned down and kissed her on the lips. Gasps filled the room. Jung-woo, I want to keep this doll with me forever, he declared innocently. The entire room erupted in laughter. It was too precious, too funny not to enjoy. Everyone was smiling, full of warmth at the sight of this pure, innocent new bond for Jungkook, however, had retreated to a corner, a hand on his forehead. Jungkook, what is even happening anymore? He muttered, overwhelmed, but even he could not hide the cynical smile tugging at the corner of his lips.